Hello, my darlings. I hope you are well and having a fabulous day. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a quick review and recap of Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother 2024. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So let's just get into it. Okay, the hierarchy in the group is very real. Sharon and Louis are definitely the king and queen of the house. Does anybody else see that? Do you get that vibe? Comment down below if you get that vibe. Anyway, so in this episode, we got to see a bit more of a behind the scenes with Louis and Sharon deliberating who would be in the Ring of Fire, and a bit more justification as to why they made their choices, which I must say kind of made the whole thing make sense. I can't lie. Kind of give them a bit of grace. So first of all, Louis says anyone that cooks anything has to be kept, and I thought, no. Once more, you are doing too much. Anyway, I'm going to get on to him in a bit. It turns out Coulson was a strong contender on the list because, as Louis puts it, he's forgettable. David was 1,000,000% always on the list. I think his bare legs was just too much exposure for them, especially when he was sitting cross-legged on the sofa. I love that guy. He gives zero fucks. That's the thing with him. He gives zero fucks. Anyway, one thing they did get right was their observation of Gary, aka Kate's bunkle. It's interesting that they observed that he was uncomfortable and that he didn't quite fit in with the other celebs. Because later, when Gary went into the diary room, he actually admitted that he is way, way, way out of his comfort zone. And his tactic is that he's basically trying to work out the play of the group and see, what the pecking order is, and then he'll reveal himself. So I found that quite interesting that they got him spot on. I suppose it's kind of like, because he's a true outsider, because as I said in my review yesterday, he isn't a celebrity. He doesn't who is he? What does he do apart from who he's related to? Do you know what I mean? So found that to be quite interesting. Gary did say that he didn't feel any way about being in the Ring of Fire as it's part of the game. However, David was quote unquote overwhelmed with the decision. That guy is too much. I love that guy. Like, as I said yesterday, he's like Marmite. You either love him or hate him, and I feel like I love him. You could tell that Zizi was quite perturbed, slightly, because she was like, how did they come to that conclusion? Which is totally a Zizi thing. Do you know what I mean? She's gonna question it. She's gonna analyze it. She's gonna want a justification, and that is very much her. Because later on, she was having a conversation with Louis, and Louis was getting to know her, and he was, asking her what show she's on, and she was explaining her credentials, and Louis randomly started rambling about how hard it was for him to choose, and again, this is quote unquote, who we liked and who we didn't like. What is wrong with this man? Like, what is wrong with this guy? It's almost like he's got word vomit. Like, he can't control what's coming out of his mouth. There's no filter with him. There is no filter. Anyway, so Zizi was like, so you didn't like me? And then he was like, I can't say anymore. It wasn't my decision. I was just Mrs. O's assistant. She was calling the shots. So I'm thinking, you try and weasel out of the situation and act like, you were yeah, act like basically you weren't the shot caller when realistically we seen you in action and you were every bit the shot caller that, you know, Sharon was as well. Do you know what I mean? What a weasel. Anyway, so Louis and Sharon were basically working the room. I feel like they very much come as a package deal at this point, because Sharon seems like Louis's crutch or support system. And to be fair, he did kind of allude to the fact that he would do okay on the show because Mrs. O is here. And when he first walked in, he said, I know Sharon's here, and the hosts were like, oh, how do you know that? Do you know what I mean? So it's obvious that he was privy to certain information before he got into the house, or before he agreed to be a part of the house. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, Sharon and Louis were speaking and getting to know everyone they didn't know already and catching up with old friends. Honestly, to me, it definitely felt like old money talking to new money, or old Hollywood mingling with new Hollywood. You could really feel the hierarchy, as I mentioned earlier. Ekin Su, the liar and the actress. Ekin Su was giving it loads and basically brown-nosing with Sharon and Louis, so much so that it seems like they've both adopted her. I can't lie, I feel like Ekin Su is a bit of a social climber, and she definitely knows how to play the game. That's one thing that irritated me about her when she was in Love Island. Just that whole vibe, she just seems so fake and disingenuous. I don't know, that rubs me up the wrong way about her. So anyway, Big Brother announced that the housemates could go to the bedroom and get situated. David basically ran off to select his bed, and everyone else kind of took their time. So the room was divided into snorers and non-snorers. Everyone peacefully and respectfully selected their beds. Lauren chose one of the only double beds in the room. Next thing you know, Louis strolls in looking for his bed, as though he knows already which bed belongs to him. When he seen Lauren on the double bed, he got visibly rattled. And I mean visibly rattled, like a child almost having a tantrum. And he was like, that's mine, up, up. That's mine, up, up. Like, no. Louis, you have gone too far. You have gone too far. Like, it's not even a side eye anymore now. It's like, no, you've taken it up several notches. Lauren got up real quick. Like, Lauren didn't even protest. I don't feel like I remember her protesting, to be fair. But she got up real quick, and literally the whole room was stunned by the way he spoke to Lauren. And Gary checked Louis and he was like, that was a bit strong. And to be honest, I'm really glad that he did, because somebody had to say something that wasn't right. And Louis had the gall and audacity to say that Lauren knew he was only joking. But that wasn't a joke. That was not a joke. That was disgusting, to be honest with you. At this point, I'm wondering if Louis has got a medical condition, because this guy has got no filter. He gives zero fucks. Everything that comes to his mind, he's saying it. He's literally uninhibited. And to further add insult to injury, he wanted his new pet, Ekin Su, to be in a bed near to him. But sadly, all the beds around him, were already taken. And I'm bloody glad Lauren ended up in one of the beds close to him, to be fair, and I'm bloody glad that she didn't swap her bed with Ekin Su. Ekin Su literally had to soothe Louis and pacify him like he was a bloody baby, and she was like, you know, don't worry about it, you can always come over to my side of the bed, my side of the room, you know, before we go to bed, like, don't worry. What is wrong with him? And speaking of rooms, Sharon seems to be the only housemate that has her own room. And why does she have her own room? Is it customary for there to be a private room? I don't get this. But in a really, really seriously, now, this is a very serious question. Is Sharon okay? I get the impression that something isn't right. Like, does anybody else feel the same? Comment down below if you do. I get the impression that something isn't right with her. She seems a little fragile. I don't know what it is. She hasn't really said much about herself apart from the fact that she's moving back to England soon. That's all really she keeps on saying, to be fair. She hasn't really said anything about herself. But yeah, I just get the impression that something isn't right. But anyway, Louis was the first person to get called into the diary room, and he instantly thought that he was in trouble, but he wasn't. Big Brother just wanted to know how he was doing. But the fact that he thought he was in trouble lets me know that he's aware that his conduct isn't right. Otherwise, why would you think that you're in trouble? Do you know what I mean? And then Sharon hit the diary room, and she said she feels guilty about selecting the 3 people, as she's spoken to them and they are nice. And to be fair, she did look genuinely sad about having to do that task. It looked like it was weighing on her. Do you know what I mean? And David hit the diary room, and he basically said that he's not surprised that they chose him to be within the Ring of Fire. And I feel like he knows himself. You know, he says that, yeah, he does get that a lot. At first, people either think he's lovely or he's a bit too much, and then, you know, they kind of come round to him once they get to know him. So I feel like that's really good, because you can tell that he's, you know, self-aware. And, you know, later on in the episode, he was like, you know, he didn't say I know myself, but, you know, he just started speaking about himself, and he sounds like he's very much aware of himself, and he gives 0 fucks about anybody's opinion. Anyway, I knew it wouldn't be long before this came up, but Louis, Sharon and Gary were having a conversation, and, you know, some royal conversation came up. So in an earlier conversation, Fern asked Gary how much he's allowed to say about the royals, you know, on the show, and he said that he can say anything based on his own opinion. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, back to the conversation with Gary, Louis and Sharon. Louis asked him if he's ever met Meghan Markle. I can't actually remember what he said, but he basically then started to, I suppose, give his opinion. And he said when it was the 3 of them, the original gang, i.e. Will, Kate and Harry, everything was fabulous, there was no issues, and Harry was himself. However, when Meghan came along, the dynamic shifted, things were never the same again. And he said Meghan rewrote history because she erased Harry's original truth, and basically he's allowing her to perpetuate a narrative which isn't true. Now, I'm not even going to go into the whole royal debate about Meghan and Harry and the royal family, and we're not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. That's not me. But I felt like this was a really strong opinion, but it's obviously an opinion that a lot of people, you know, all over the world have, you know, and we've definitely seen that. Sharon was one of the people that in the world has, shared her opinion in the past, and it very much fits the same narrative as Gary's. So I'm not quite sure who it was, but one of them was asking her about how people in the States, feel about the royal family, etc. And Sharon didn't give her direct opinion about Meghan and Harry. You could, to be fair, you could tell that she was trying to keep it cordial, to be fair. But she basically said, in the beginning, America was kind of enamored with the royal couple, but, based on their actions and, a couple of business moves that they've made and, how they're presenting themselves, that's worn off, basically. So that was that. And that was pretty much the main tea of the evening. Oh yeah, Zizi was last in the diary room, and Big Brother asked her who she would have selected to be in the Ring of Fire, and my girl said she would have picked Louis. She said he's the danger zone. She said he ain't gonna hold back. She can see that he isn't gonna hold back, and he is the danger zone. And I was like, do you know what? I actually couldn't agree more. I found the conversation between her and him, like, you could see that she was kind of trying her best with him, but I don't know. Did it look a bit grovelly? Did it come across a bit grovelly to anybody? I don't know. But they was just having a general conversation. I was going to say, I like Fern's vibe. I like Fern. To be fair, she's very much a part of the higher hierarchy of the group. But she's been really laid back and chilled. But yeah, I like Fern's vibe. Levi Roots, resident chef, he also has a nice vibe as well. I don't really know much about him outside of reggae sauce, because I didn't used to watch Dragon's Den. I obviously know his story, but I don't know much about his personality. And he also had a bit of a nice paternal vibe as well. And speaking of paternal, not him announcing that he's got 8 kids and having the cheek to say it gets worse. There's 7 different mothers. He's too much. And can anybody tell me what Sharon was sprinkling around her bed before she went to bed? Did you catch that? What was she sprinkling around her bed? Anyway, that's it, my darlings. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this video, and catch me back here tomorrow for another review and recap of episode 3 of Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother 2024. Mwah!